This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Some depth at the receiver room. Wanted to get some other guys going as receivers and in the return game. So, that kind of went into that decision for sure. As far as Ryder, more depth with Dieter going down, and we had to bring Tom up, from the practice squad last week. So just looking for depth at that position. But anyone who steps into the building is given an opportunity to compete. So we'll see what this looks like in practice today and this week. And we're excited to see what that looks like and give them a chance to compete.
How do you feel about Waddle as a returner?
I'm confident in Waddle as a returner. Obviously, he's had a lot of success in college. Hasn't really gotten back there much this year. Had the one opportunity, didn't go so well. But looking forward to getting him back out there, getting more returns, and hopefully getting him going in that aspect of the game.
Where is he in regard to ball security in the return game, being shorthanded, that sort of thing?
I think it's ball security is something we talk about all the time. He knows that. Whether that's offensively in the kicking game, backs, receivers, quarterback, tight ends. Obviously, when you have turnovers in the game, that doesn't work in our favor if we turn it over, and it does work in our favor if we turn them over. So, I think Waddle's done a good job in practice. I think he's, we have confidence that he'll be able to protect the football, in the return game and offensively. But it's something you got to work on really daily and be conscious of all the time. And that's anyone who has the ball in their hands. So quarterback, long snapper, whoever. Sorry.
We heard George Ramsey say yesterday that we all know Devontae needs to be a bigger part of the game plan. Is his relationship, Devontae's relationship with Jacoby, at a point where he can be a large part of the game plan earlier on in games?
I think they've got a good relationship, and I think that's building really every day. And I think that's the case with Jacoby and Devontae, and Jacoby and all the receivers, tight ends, backs, O-line, et cetera. So I think that's something you just continually build. You build it through practice. You build it through meetings and walkthrough. And Jacoby does a good job of just trying to communicate with the receivers. Hey, we want you here. Where do you want the ball? Inside, outside, high, low, depending on situation. And that's with all of them, to include Devontae. So I think they're starting to build a little bit more of a rapport. That showed up in, late in the last couple games. Hopefully we can get to some of that a little bit earlier. That's something we'll definitely work on in practice today. And something we've talked about.
For guys who don't guys who don't necessarily create a ton of separation like Devontae, does it just boil down to trust between the receiver and quarterback that he's going to make a play on those 50-50 tackles?
I think when you're talking when you're talking separation, I think some people they separate a little bit differently. Some with speed and quickness, some are just bigger and have more of a catch radius, and that's how they separate. I think Devontae kind of probably falls into that mold, I should say. And I think part of that is just you think a guy's open, or it looks like he's open, or it looks like he's not open. But if you give him a chance, good chance he'll come down with the ball. I'm sorry. Who's? Oh, okay.
Right up there.
Yeah.
So you were showing remarkable focus there for about a
Trying
minute.
to, yeah. There's only so much here,
Ryan, in terms of getting more, you mentioned maybe getting more receivers involved. Is Preston in your thinking that way? Has that been kind of a difficult call, not really having a spot always on the active roster for him because of special teams and other factors you have to consider?
Yeah, I think that's I think you're in the right direction there. And I think Preston's somebody we've talked about really every week. you know, we like a lot of things he's doing in practice. So, yeah, we want to get some other guys some opportunities, and hopefully we're able to do that. But again, we've got to, do a nice job in practice. We got plenty we got to work on. Plenty to work on, really across the board. Players, coaches, we're all, trying to get better, trying to do better, trying to improve, and that starts in practice. But as far as getting some other guys involved, that definitely was part of the conversation, in the receiver room specifically.
Coach, you're hopeful to get Raekwon Davis back. Will he be out there today?
Yes, Raekwon will be out there today, and we're just going to see what this looks like. Not necessarily going to make a move on the roster just yet, but he's definitely moving in the right direction, and he'll be out there today. So, yeah, I mean, he's doing a lot of good things, and he'll be out there today.
What is returning to the Sun?
I think it means a lot. I think, when healthy, when, I think he was, doing a lot of good things at the, end of training camp, started at the beginning of the season or the beginning of the season. But, he's big, he's strong, he's hard to move inside. So we're hopeful that he has a couple of good days of practice, and, we can get him out there. But, I'm kind of, I don't like to count my chickens. So just kind of, and I don't like to jinx myself either. So we'll see how this goes in the next couple of days of practice.
I know you like to. That you, well, you mentioned earlier this week that you like the offensive systems and the game plan. I guess when people were asking you about changes, obviously there hasn't been a lot of success. So I'm curious what you do like about the system and the game plan.
I mean, I like the communication. I mean, I like the, the collaboration. We need to do a better job of really across the board. This is everybody. Players got to do a better job of executing. We have to do a better job of putting them in positions to execute. I would say we've missed some opportunities, with guys being open, of, guys making cuts. I would say, we've got to do a better job of putting them in positions to have more opportunities as a staff. So we've had a lot of conversations. I think, the only thing we can do is go out there, practice, continue to prepare the way we're preparing. And I think, just from a preparation standpoint, and look, this is just my opinion, as a guy who's, in here every day. I think, our coaches, our players work hard. They compete. They try to do everything the right way. And I think if you just, my belief is when you continue to string good days together or string that type of preparation together, normally things work out. So that's kind of my belief. That's how I'm wired. Where there's always some little things we can change and do better, and things you learn from as you go, especially with when you're dealing with 53 players plus practice squad, and there's always some little subtle things you can change and get better at. We're finding those things out and making those corrections, and I'm hopeful we'll see more of the results we're looking for.
How does the Tom Brady in a Bucks uniform look compared to the Tom you first went against in practice on the Patriots fields?
Look, this is a great player. He was a great player when I last saw him in person. We were on the same team. He's a great player now. Smart, great command of the offense, accurate, can find the space in the pocket. I think he's playing great football right now. I think that team is playing great football, really offensively, defensively, and a kicking game. They're well coached. We got a lot of great players, skilled players, defensive players, pass rushers, and they've done a great job. That's why they're defending Super Bowl champs. But yeah, look, I have a lot of respect and admiration for Tom. We're on the same team for 15 years, and I learned a lot from him for sure. So, great to see him, great to compete against him. So, a lot of respect and admiration.
Obvious follow-up. What's one thing you learned?
Preparation. I think that's one thing that I know how he prepares. I know that he's looking for every advantage. Honestly, Bruce Arians is the same way. Bowles is the same way. I mean, Byron Leftwich is the same way. They do a great job there. So, I would say that would be it. Preparation.
Right.
How hard is it to confuse Tom? How hard is it to kind of get him off his game?
There's no confusing him. He's seen everything. So, I could sit here and say, yeah, you could do this, that, but no, yeah, there's no confusing the guy. So, it's about trying to execute. And they got good players. And look, every defense has somewhere in the defense where there's some kind of weakness. In cover 2, it's this. In cover 1, it's this. And cover 3, it's this. And cover 4, it's this. You bring 5, then it's this. You bring 6, then it's this. Look, after 20 plus years of playing in this league, he's seen pretty much everything. So no, there's no confusing him. We got to do a good job really across the board. We got to play, the entire team's got to play well offensively, defensively, in a kicking game, and that's what we're gonna have to do to have success against this team.
You marvel that he's been able to do it for this long after just working with him for so long. He's like, how is he at 40, 44, 45, whatever it is now that he's still going?
Not surprised. When you've been around the guy, and it's when you've been around him, and you see the way he works, see the way he prepares, see the way he takes care of himself, see the passion he has for the game. Yeah, not surprised.
When you want your team to prepare the same way every week, to the utmost, obviously. There shouldn't be variables to that, but human condition being what it is, when you're playing against Super Bowl champions and against Tom, do you find that there is typically an additional laser-like level of something extra when you're playing against that guy?
Yeah, you want to prepare the same way with that laser focus every week. That's what you want. You speak of human condition. That's something I think about a lot as well. I imagine 53 guys under 25 years old. There's a little bit more excitement. Playing against a team like this. I shouldn't say there's a little bit more excitement. That's probably the wrong thing to say. We're excited to play every week. But when you play against, arguably the best player of all time, and, they got a bunch of great players, you've got to up your level of preparation, up your level of intensity, execution. So I hate that it's like that, honestly, because I feel like I have, or, as a coaching staff, we every week is like this. But yeah, my opinion, I think there's just probably a heightened level of, hey, we better get this right, or we better get this right, or he's going to find the open receiver, the matchup, etc.
Along those lines, I know you were focused on your own team last week and focused on your own team this week, of course, but was Sunday night difficult for you to take in at all, knowing just it had to be very unusual for Tom, it had to be very unusual for Coach Belichick. It was just an awkward night on a lot of levels. Was it difficult for you to look into that as a fan and not feel tugged in either direction?
No, I didn't feel tugged. To me, it was a good football game. And if you know both guys, they're both competitive. They both want to win. It's important to both of them to win, to play well, to execute, to play good football. And I think that's what you saw. So, at the end of the day, there's emotions and there's personal relationships. But for me, just watching the game, when you step on the field, it's team against team, and it's about execution. It's about playing smart and disciplined and tough, and the physicality of the game, which shows it was definitely a physical game. So those are the things I took from it. Kind of leave the other stuff out of it, once you're in the game.
Coach,
Is there
you're
anything that you can take from
last year. Last year you started 1-3-2, and you're on 5 straight wins. Is there anything you can take from that turnaround as you kind of try to guide the team through another restart?
Yeah, I mean, last year was last year. This year's this year. Different team, different, whole different set of circumstances from last year to this year. I just try to. I just try to live in the moment, and just try to improve, get better, and do everything I can do personally to help this team improve and get the results we're looking for. So that's kind of my what I'm trying to do here.
Coach, your opponent this week allows a league best 2.7 yards per rush, and some of their opponents don't even try to run the ball on them sometimes. I guess my question is a philosophical one with regards to what's the value of continuing to run the football if you're not having success in terms of yards gained?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good run defense. Sometimes you got to think. I understand why some teams don't do it. If you want to go run into a brick wall, feel free. I don't know how that would feel, but that's kind of what when you watch them, and you got Blvd in there, and you got Sue in there, and you got Devin White and David and Pierre Paul. I mean, it's not easy. So, look, you want to be balanced, but you want to be smart too. So yeah, I mean, it's hard. I think everyone's seen that, and it's the players they got up there. It's not. It's hard to run it in there.
Brian, in years past, Cam Wake used to always say, if there was a key to Brady, it was to make him uncomfortable in the pocket, not divulging anything. But do you see any weaknesses that your defense can put on him in some aspect?
I think we got to have good communication. Let's just start with that. Because if you blow an assignment or you have a mental error, he's going to find it and take advantage of it. So let's just start right there. And then, you got to tackle well. They got good skill players who break tackles. And, those create big plays that way, explosive plays that way. They hit a hitch route, they make somebody miss, and what's 5 yards goes for 25 yards. So tackling, communication, setting the edge in a run game, trying to limit the big plays as best you can. So, I know there's a lot there, but I think that's where you start. It's one thing to say, get them off the spot. And, yeah, I think you want to do that. But, when the ball's out in second and a half, you can't get to the spot. So there's a lot of things you got to do defensively. They do a lot of good things, do a lot of things well offensively. We've got to play well as a team and try to, I've said if there's one thing, we got to do a good job on third down. Getting them to third down and then, executing in that situation. So.